It is my privilege to present the following program that was inspired by the way American businesses and organizations have responded to the events of September 11th. It's part of a special series produced by Heartbeat of America called Keeping America Strong. Each program spotlights a business or organization that is helping to do exactly that, keep America strong. Having served in the United States Navy for many years, I fully appreciate the important role small and middle-sized businesses play in the very fabric of our country, and I salute the professionals who lead these companies and thus keep America strong. They are the very backbone of our free enterprise system, and today on this program, you will meet the individuals behind one such organization. I'll be back later in the program to introduce the Keeping America Strong Award. And now, let's learn more about the organization we are honoring today.
Today, the eyes and ears of the 21st century are focused on new developments, new technologies, new emerging companies. We're on the scene to bring it to you as it happens.
We anchor from our new studios in Los Angeles and then go out all over America to get to the heart of the story.
I'm Bert Tenzer.
I'm Bella Shaw.
I'm Doug Llewellyn.
I'm William Shatner, and this is Heartbeat of America. Our show focuses on corporate America, its stories, its drama, its breakthrough. We'll be going out today to report on an organization that is impacting our lives and shaping our future. An organization that truly is the heartbeat of America.
In the 20th century, a group of future Americans led by William Shatner ventured out into the universe. The challenge? To take the American spirit and courage to the final frontier of man, outer space. It was an exciting time on television, but it was only a fantasy.
Meanwhile, here on the planet Earth in the 21st century, a new challenge has emerged. And this one's for real. It's the challenge to unite America and to keep our economy and our country moving forward.
This has inspired Heartbeat of America to launch a special series entitled Keeping America Strong.
In the 20th century, William Shatner took us off on a voyage into the universe to experience what life is like on other planets. But now, here in the 21st century, he is back to explore what life is like right here on our own planet. It's all part of a new series that we call Keeping America Strong. And as you know, part of Keeping America Strong lies in protecting Americans from one of today's biggest threats. That, of course, is fire. Wherever we are, whatever we do, the threat of fire is always with us. The question is, what can we do about it? Well, our guest today is doing a lot to protect Americans against the threat of fire. After some 6 years of development, he has developed and is now manufacturing a revolutionary fire retardant protection system that includes flame retardant liquids, coatings, wraps, and wall panel systems. They protect everything from plastics and glass to steel, painted surfaces, and finished products such as pipes, conduits, electrical systems, and even control boxes. They even protect passengers inside a commercial airliner. That is all a pretty tall order, and we're about to find out now just how he has been able to accomplish all of that with his product. I'd like you to meet him now. He is from a company known as Flame Seal Products. They are headquartered in Houston, Texas. With us is Michael Kiser, the president of the company. Michael, welcome. Nice to have you here.
Well, thank you. Glad to be here.
Let me talk to you a little bit first about the big problem that companies, individuals, homeowners, the big problem that we all face, like fire prevention and the threat of fire. What's uppermost in this world? You're very familiar with it.
Well, the problem is that the average person, the average homeowner, doesn't really know the kind of dangers that are surrounding them. They are unaware of the threat, or at least the level of the threat. And the reason for it is fairly logical, is that the companies that manufacture the lumber or the carpet or the curtains and furniture that go into the home, when they're promoting them, they're obviously not going to point out something like flammability because it's such a negative issue. But it does exist. It's very real. So as a result of the promotions as they are, touting the positives and the selling points, the homeowner ends up with sort of a false sense of comfort about the home. When the fact remains, almost everything that a home is constructed of is flammable, being the curtains, especially the foam in the sofa and the chairs and the carpet, the bedding, it goes on and on. So they're completely unaware of, like I said, the level of threat that just surrounds them every day.
Well, when you mentioned that and you think about curtains, and you talked about how fast curtains can go up in flames, typical curtains. With a child, if a child happened to get something that had a flame involved in it, was near curtains, it could be curtains for the house.
That's right.
Right. And couches, you said very, very, very dangerous.
Oh, yes.
I presume that's from cigarettes. Would that be right?
Cigarettes and children start a lot of fires with matches, playing with matches. We've all heard this before. A good example of, as you mentioned, the curtains and how fast they go up. People may not realize this, but a typical set of curtains can be ignited in 3 seconds, meaning a child playing with a match can put that match at the base of a set of curtains for 3 seconds, and if nothing's done to stop what proceeds after that, the house is gone. It is going to burn down from that point forward. So one match, a child in 3 seconds, an entire investment in your home and your family, perhaps, is gone.
Could be gone.
Very serious.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about this solution that you have come up with and your company. Interesting name, Flame Seal Products. You really do help. Well, it's interesting, the name. Where did the name Flame Seal? You seal flames. What you do, is that right?
Well, yeah. In the early going, we went through like a lot of companies do, looking for a name that fits, and it's just one that met with a lot of favor and that no one had or no one was using at the time.
So the key is, what does this do? What is it?
The main thing we came up with was a product that was simple to apply. It was one of our goals, and we ended up with liquids that you spray on, for instance, the curtains or the sofa, carpet, etc. in the home, and it protects it from fire, keeps it from igniting. One of the main products and the highest performer that we have is called FX100. It's a coating, and it has become kind of our claim to fame. You can't burn it. You can't even discolor the paper, because what it does is it swells up to 100 times its dry film thickness.
Really?
So as it's swelling up, it forms a foam, kind of a insulation layer that keeps it from burning.
Well, it's interesting. We have some pictures here of a little demonstration that you did, and hopefully if the camera can get a tight shot of this, I'll get you, Michael, to take me through this and explain what it is we're looking at. We're about to see this, and I think this is right side up. Or do I have it upside down?
I think it's upside down.
You think it's upside down? All right, let's just turn it around again. Technically, this is a big envelope, like an 8x10 envelope, one of the post office's envelopes, and you have put just a small amount of your flame retardant on this envelope?
Right. There's a thin coating of it on there. We put it on there and cure it.
Right.
And in this case, it's generally clear, but for the sake of this video, for this picture, we have put a tint in it so that you can see the area that's treated. It's put on there just about a 1/64 of an inch thick. It's very thin. And in this picture, we've exposed this to the heat of a torch coming in from the left part of the picture.
We can see the flame on the picture. And now, what flame there, and within a matter of seconds, the mixture starts to spread and expand.
Right.
And we can see that's what we're seeing happening right here.
Right. You see it glowing red hot in the middle. That's 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit. That's what the red hot coloring shows you.
Okay.
That's how hot it is. And behind it, you see the gentleman holding it. He's got his hand on the back side of that piece of paper. It doesn't even get to above 90 degrees Fahrenheit on the back as it's swelling and protecting it like that.
Very interesting. And here's another angle of it. This gives you a better picture of how much it's expanding. It looks like it's about 6 inches high now. Would that be about right?
It's 2 or 3 inches at this point. It's capable of getting 6 inches there.
Okay. All right. And there it is after you've taken the flame away from it.
Right, and it's a side angle just to show how thick it became, and that's a carbon insulation layer. It's a technical name for it is intermittent. It's an intermittent product, and it just foams up and protects it from the fire.
It's a protective layer.
Right.
And this is that picture after you've taken some of that protective layer off. The picture itself, the envelope is still okay.
Right, we scrape it off just to demonstrate that not only does it not burn, it can't even discolor the paper. That's how well it protects.
Now, there are some other pictures we have. Tell me about, there was another test you did, the kind of a more visible demonstration.
Right. We did a larger scale demonstration of this for the media. We set this up for ABC. They told us if we could do what I described on the telephone, they would come out and film it. So these are pictures of what we did and filmed them in our facility. What we did was construct a wall.
Yeah.
And it has a polyester fabric, just a simple fabric on it, treated with our chemical. And on the other side of it, as you can see, we created a fire there. It was about 10 feet high and 10 feet wide. It's fuel soaked into a pile of foam rubber, basically, a pretty furious fire. And as we filmed this, on the other side of it, that's me. I not only stand next to it, but in the next picture you'll see I actually just go up, sit in a chair, and just put my hands on it. That's nearly 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit on the other side of that fabric. And on my side, you can barely feel any warmth coming through.
No kidding. That effective.
That effective.
Well, that's pretty visible demonstration of what it does. How did you develop this?
Well, it's kind of a story, but it started out as an investment we made in a company with some people up in Dallas, we're in Houston, and it turns out that some of the things that they had claimed about a product they had, an investment we made, weren't exactly accurate. And so some people that I had talked into invest in this with me kind of pressured me to say, you know, what are you going to do about this? You've got to do something to rescue our investment. And I've always been an inventor of sorts, of different things, so I thought, you know, why not give this a shot? So I got some chemistry books, locked myself in a lab it took about a year. And I came out of there with a liquid product, which is basically what became this product. And it did the things that, you know, we had hoped the other product would do, the one that had the false claims on it. And as time would tell, as I demonstrated this throughout the world, I traveled to Europe, to Asia, to Canada and Central America, and found out that there was nothing like it. I had inadvertently, in rescuing our investment, invented what is now the highest performance product of its kind.
No kidding. And it's on the market?
Yes, it is.
And in how many different countries?
Well, we're a small company at this point. We're in market development.
Right.
And we're in a small way, and I say market development, we're selling to companies around the world so that they can kind of feel out the uses that they have for it and can find for it. But here at home, we are starting to penetrate a couple of markets with some volume sales, and we're starting to finally develop our marketing and sales into aerospace specifically. That's kind of become our calling card.
Well, you know, it's interesting because I know you've worked with one of the major aircraft manufacturers. You can tell who it is if you want. That's
sure,
up to
it's
you.
Boeing. Yeah.
It's with Boeing, of course.
We're very proud of that. Yes.
And Boeing, I understand, was kind of overwhelmed when they saw this and realized the potential. This is a picture of an aircraft. This was your test aircraft, right?
Correct.
Or one of them, anyway.
We went to the Mojave Desert, and Boeing sponsored a demonstration and a test where we treated insulation inside of an aircraft.
Now this is the insulation on the inside of the fuselage, and this is pretty typical of most airliners, right? They all have an insulation.
Correct. Boeing is very aggressively trying to solve a problem that's kind of industry-wide throughout the entire aerospace industry with all the manufacturers. They're taking a pretty aggressive approach in solving a problem which is very technical from their side of this thing, but it's basically that these materials, when they first produced them and put them in the aircraft, they passed specific flame retardance tests that are required. What occurred that they couldn't predict or didn't predict was that over time, the high oxygen atmosphere in the pressurized cabins caused a deterioration of the performance of some of these materials. And all the aircraft companies are going through this. They're having to mitigate those problems. And they couldn't really find a way to do that until they, you know, came in touch with us.
Came upon this product.
Right, and then they have been experimenting for a couple of years and found an application process and method, and have essentially handed to the FAA and the airlines a solution to the problem on this insulation.
So they like it. And I gather it's still going for more approval, but I mean, there is the potential that this product could be used on every airliner that Boeing makes in the future, and maybe spread to other airline manufacturers as well. Right?
Absolutely. It's in fact, it's already being spec'd in for some specific plastic parts on the plane, and their long-term plans are to get heavily involved in it in many, many parts of the aircraft.
I mean, there's huge potential when you really stop to think about it.
Oh, absolutely.
There are a lot of other uses, and we'll discuss those in a little bit. But the bottom line is, this is a product that really works, and the future is, let's say, incredible. We are discussing an amazing product that has been developed by a company called Flame Seal Products of Houston, Texas, that is a fire retardant and really helps prevent fires from breaking out in many situations, from private homes to airliners and many other configurations. And we're discussing this with the president of the company and the developer of the product. His name is Michael Kiser. Michael, tell me a little bit about some of the other kinds of situations where this product has such potential. I know you have stories from many places. You've actually gotten on planes and traveled around the world to demonstrate this and to tell people and companies and businesses all about it. In general, first of all, what kind of reaction have you gotten when people realize how effective this is?
Well, I mean, obviously everyone's amazed because they haven't seen anything like it. I've been accused of trickery, been accused of being a magician even. I've had PhD chemists tell me that it was a magic trick. So quickly that we had accomplished something pretty spectacular. And as a result, I have traveled all over the world. It's opened doors I've met with government leaders, high financial leaders, corporate leaders in China, in Europe, Central America, and Canada, and the U.S. So the fact that it opens those doors, not just me, it's obviously a pretty incredible product, and that's what's done for us.
It would seem to me there are so many companies that are, building supply manufacturers that would be really thrilled to know about this and want to talk to you about it. Let's talk about some of the specific stories. The China story that you mentioned to me.
Well, yeah, one of our early efforts in market research, and I call it that, we were just probing around the world to see where this product's going to ultimately find a home. One of them blossomed pretty quickly into something we didn't expect, which a visit to China turned into a joint venture there. The government, the largest corporation in China, is run by the military and the government. It's called Norinco. They've since changed their name, but they became our partner in a joint venture there, and it lasted for a few years. And during those few years of a specific project, our products were used to treat sections of the Forbidden City. Mao Zedong's mausoleum, the entirety of it was treated with our products for fire. The Great Hall of the People, which is the equivalent of our Capitol building, was treated. And then there's a group in China called the Ancient Society of Architects. It's 10, 15 generations deep. They hand this down from father to son. Yeah. And that ancient society approved our products for the treatment and preservation of all the ancient wooden structures in China. I mean, I'm talking historical buildings. They were being treated with our product. Wow. And this was done after they evaluated everything they could get their hands on around the world, and they selected ours. So we're pretty proud of that.
Now, the product is how old now?
We first came up with it in '92. Flame Seal was formed in '92. Right. The early products were developed in '92, '93. Then, of course, our lead product, FX100, I mentioned, was perfected in '94.
How many different formulas have you created of this? Is this one of those things where there have been dozens of formulas?
Literally, yeah, dozens of
if
formulas.
Not more.
Right,
yeah.
And it's gotten to the point to where now we're fine-tuning those formulas for specific uses in industry. We're now realizing our forte, our talent is to go into an industrial client and solve their problems, fine-tune our formulas and adapt our processes to solve their specific problems.
And I know it comes in different forms other than a liquid, and this story is a classic example of that. For example, this is the Alaska pipeline story.
Correct.
Tell me about that while we look at this picture, and tell me what this picture is that we're going to be seeing in a couple of moments.
Well, in Alaska, everyone's heard of the Alaska pipeline.
Obviously, that's what we're seeing, part of, right?
Right. It's hard to tell what that is unless you know what you're looking at, but this is a valve. This is a very, very large valve.
Okay.
A gentleman standing beside it would probably reach up about half of its height. There's 4 of these, and there's some giant tanks up there, and what happens, it's called a tank farm. These lines come from all the oil fields of northern Alaska, and they go into these 2 huge tanks, and these 4 valves control the flow of that oil into the Alaskan pipeline. So they're essentially the
master valves.
They are the master valves. They all have to function properly, or the flow of oil stops from Alaska down to the lower 48 states. So these are literally the 4 most important valves in the United States. And when they needed them protected from fire for various reasons, they called on us. And so we custom designed these jackets you're seeing, they're very shiny because the outer layer is stainless steel foil.
Yeah.
But this is about a 1-inch thick jacket that protects these from any kind of a pool fire, any massive fire that might come along. It'll protect those. It'll swell up and keep the valves operating while they shut down the system or reroute the oil, whatever they need to do.
You were mentioning, that these are used in case of the threat of terrorism, for example, to the pipeline, or an accident, of course. But terrorism is a big issue that they're concerned about, and this would help prevent the valves from being affected by fire.
Correct. Yeah, that's what it's.
I mean, and that's put on a wrap. Is that right? This liquid is put on a wrap. So actually, you've provided in a wrap form. How many different forms of this product does it come in?
It'd be hard pressed to put a number on it.
A lot of them.
A lot, because each form has variations on the form for different clients that we're in development with a lot of companies for specific
And
uses.
does the formula change with each form to a degree?
Sometimes we adapt to the situation.
What about the BP story?
British Petroleum has had a similar problem. They have some critical walls up there, and this goes into kind of a political issue, but the public, some public is aware of this, but there's a product called halon. It's an extinguisher chemical, a gas, that is used in refineries, aircraft, military vehicles, and it's the best product in the world for putting out a fire, but it has been essentially outlawed for environmental reasons. And there's a timetable for getting rid of it all. So they have a kind of a catch-22 up there in Alaska, in that they build all these buildings out of foam walls to protect from the super cold temperatures, and for weight reasons they build these things on pilings. So they end up with a situation where these walls that are made of flammable materials were okayed because of halon that was available. Now that it's having to be removed, they're stuck. The fire marshal says you can't have this flammable stuff here without this fire extinguishing chemical. So the fire marshals basically said you have to take those out and put 2-hour or 3-hour firewalls in their place. What we did was come and kind of save the day in that case, and literally we did, in that we put a 1/4-inch thick layer of our material on both sides of those walls and converted them from a flammable wall to a 3-hour firewall. And we installed about 4,500 square feet of it in a critical location at British Petroleum up there. And it became almost a toy for all the engineers up there, because it looks, I mean, I have to say so myself, it's absolutely gorgeous. It looks like NASA did it, and that's what they say. They say, this looks like NASA put this up here.
Another success story.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of them. Very, very interesting, Michael, indeed. We're exploring the story of Flame Seal Products of Houston, Texas, with Michael Kiser. He's the founder, the key man behind the company. Michael, tell me a little bit about, first off, your background. You are obviously an inventor, but what is your, technically, how do you describe your background?
Oh boy, it's a hodgepodge of things. I mean, I am an inventor. My father was as well, but I've always been an inventor. I've worked in electronics, construction, which I've had a construction company at one time, and it seems that whatever I do, I tend to try to come up with better ways of doing things in the field I'm in. So it's sort of been my nature.
But I mean, what kind of a background does an inventor have? Do you have a degree in engineering or something like that, to fall back on, or you're just very talented in creating new things?
I guess that's it.
That's really what it comes down to. Okay.
Right.
Are there other things you've invented other than this?
Oh yeah.
Lots of them?
A number of them. But
any that I might have in my house that I'm using that I don't know about?
No, I mean, I don't know that I want to get into too many things there, but the fact is that the reason I got into Flame Seal the way I did as a businessman, I had to become a businessman, is I had earlier inventions basically taken from me. And I went through those experiences and realized to succeed and protect myself, I'm going to have to also be a businessman, and a good one.
Right.
So I went to school basically, and by that I mean studied and learned and befriended some high-level businessmen and learned from them, etc., and just built a defense in my knowledge of what to do with the inventions once I came up with them.
So when you came up with this one, what process did you have to go through to get it to where it is today? I mean, you had to start the company, right?
Right. We started the company, and then there's a tremendous amount of work in testing. Every industry is interested in seeing certifications, And it was the first lesson we learned, is there's a tremendous amount of effort and money that has to go into testing the products at third-party laboratories, like we have tests at Underwriters Laboratories, Omega Point Laboratories for the nuclear industry, which we got into that for a while, and Southwest Research Institute. There's quite a number of them, another one called Diversified Labs. And we've tested at just quite a number of third-party institutions, and that's just to prove up the performance of your products, so that when a company uses it, they have something to fall back on in their certifications. So that's one part of the process. And the other is simply tenacity, you know, fighting your way through the battles of presenting a new product, making believers out of people that think that this is too good to be true, which is what happens to us a lot. People see it and they just can't believe there's anything like this. So, you know, and we're starting to overcome those. Having Boeing, for instance, we're a qualified supplier to Boeing. Having them as a calling card does solve the credibility issues.
A huge feather in your cap at this point.
Yes, yeah, big one.
The company is now some 16 years old. Is that about right? Somewhere 14 years, 15 years old. What do you see for the future? And by the way, how many, you've got, what, you've staffed like 12 of you there?
Right.
Basically working on this, producing this product now. What do you see for the future of this company as you look down the road?
I don't see a limit for this company. It's, if I can quote somebody, not a word for word, but what was said to me, I was meeting with a company called Diversified Insurance.
Yeah.
And the board of directors of that company, for a specific product with boating, they insure boats. One of them was staring at me and he said something very interesting. He says, pardon my staring, he says, you look a little like him. I said, what are you talking about? He says, Bill Gates. I said, oh, I don't know if that's a compliment or what, but he said, well, I think you'll have his money, because he says you've got one of those rare products that every person, every business, every entity in the world needs.
We have been watching the operations of an organization which is doing its part to keep America strong, and we've been learning from its leaders about what they're doing to help move our country forward. This organization represents companies across our great nation that embody the spirit, dedication, know-how, and can-do attitude which has made America the great nation it is today. And now let's present the Keeping America Strong Award.
Now it's my honor to present our Keeping America Strong Award to Michael Kiser, the president of Flame Seal Products of Houston, for the outstanding work his company is doing to help keep America strong. Michael, congratulations and best wishes for continued success.
Well, thank you, Doug. I appreciate it. And the entire staff of Flame Seal, I certainly appreciate this. It's quite an honor. An honor indeed.
Congratulations for earning the Keeping America Strong Award, which honors innovators and leaders like you, who are the heartbeat of America.
Our thanks to retired Rear Admiral Kevin Delaney for taking part in the presentation of the Keeping America Strong Award, the award that salutes small to middle-sized organizations who are helping to move America forward.
For more information on this amazing product, visit the company's website at flameseal.com.
That's it for Heartbeat of America's special edition, Keeping America Strong.
Now for a final word from William Shatner.
Well, that's it for this edition of Heartbeat of America. I'm William Shatner. Thanks for watching.